Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is Angie at ChicnScratch. This is the card we're making today, and it's a fun fold card. This is a flap card, and it opens up just like that. I made this morning during my coffee and a card over on Facebook. I'm going to refilm that video for you guys. Okay, Pool Party cardstock, 5.5 by 4 1/4, 1 3/4 by 4 5/8, 2 rectangles. These are the stitched rectangles. I've already cut those out, and they measure approximately 4 by 2 5/8. 2 stitched rectangles that measure approximately 3.5 by 2 1/4. And then the Dino Designer Series paper. This measures 5 1/4 by 4. Now we also need these 2 dinosaurs. So the long neck right here, this guy here, that's him right here. So we're just going to take our scissors and cut around him, and then we'll use the dies to cut him completely out. Hopefully I'm in the camera view here. Okay, so there's that one. I've already cut this guy out, okay? So now let's go ahead and start. I'm going to get out the Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. Okay, like I said, 1/2 inch. Fold on that score line. Now, this is our card base. This strip is going to get added to the Designer Series paper, okay? So I'm going to put adhesive on this part right here, and I do want to use my silicone mat. We're going to be using this a lot today. And I'm just going to add my liquid glue. So what I'm going to do is line it up down here at the bottom and then fold that over. Now I cut this to measure 4 5/8. It's a smidge long. It depends on what trimmer you use. So on my measurement this morning, I told them to cut it at 4 1/2, but a smidge bigger. And I gave you guys the measurements of 4 5/8. But as you can see, I trimmed off just a hair. So if you're familiar with 16ths, you could cut it at that measurement, okay? So now what I'm going to do is put my adhesive on here. I don't need the silicone mat for such a large piece, but we'll need it again when we're working with the smaller pieces. Okay, so place this here. My newsletter subscribers are going to get a card using this fun fold and using flower. So I'm not going to tell which flower set, but it is going to be the same fold, just a different stamp set. Okay, so use your bone folder to hold that, to keep that flap down. This piece is going to get added right there. So again, I'm going to take my liquid glue and only add it to that left side, and then place it right there. Okay. Now we want to stamp. So the front card gets "Thanks for being a Friendosaurus," and the other one's going to go inside there. So I'm going to start with the outside first, and I'm going to use Pretty Peacock ink. Okay, that should be good. Now let's set this aside for just a second, and we'll go ahead and stamp the inside. We're done with the Pretty Peacock. Now we'll take the Old Olive, and this, again, this is the inside. So I'm going to stamp off. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. Before we go any further, let's go ahead and cut our 2 dinosaurs out. So I'm going to get the Big Shot, and we'll cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to start with the T-Rex, and I did want to let you guys know that Stampin' Up! Announced this morning on our demonstrator website that they have not yet got a die cut machine, but they are still working on it, and it will not be, a new one will not be in the holiday catalog. So if you are wondering, they are still working on it. And they said the same thing about a trimmer. So we do not have a new trimmer yet, but again, that is something that they are working on. So yeah, that's the latest. And as soon as I hear, you know, other news, I will shout it from the rooftops. I personally have multiple die cut machines. In fact, I even use an electric Big Shot. The only time I use a manual Big Shot is when I'm on video. So I use a electric one. It really saves my arms, my hands, my wrist. Okay, so now let's get all these pieces back in here. Okay, so let's do the inside now. So this is going to get attached to this one. So again, I'm going to use my liquid glue. And then I'm going to show you how to attach that. Let's make sure that's stuck. I know this morning when I made it, it slid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is it's going to go just like that. So that means I'm going to place it up here so that I can get perfect placement. So I'm going to turn it over, add my adhesive. And then again, I want to make sure I don't have it upside down. So I don't. And then fold it down. And there's that part, okay? Voila. Now this is going to get added here. I'm going to use 2 dimensionals on each corner. And if you don't have the stitched rectangle dies, you can always just cut your cardstock. I gave you those measurements. I said approximate, so that way if you just wanted to cut it with your trimmer, you could. Okay, the dinosaur, the T-Rex, is going to get added with a dimensional on his head and then one down here on his body. Okay, and then I'm going to attach the little long neck with the mini dimensionals. So I'm pick up one for his head and then one down here for the bottom of his body. And then I want to snip off part of this, okay, like that. Now this is going to get added here, and this one's going to get added down here. So we can go ahead and do that now. So take the backing off of the dimensionals. Same thing for this one. Whoops, that didn't come off. There we go. Okay, so now for our embellishments. I have a little tip to share with you. I did have to open up a new pack of these today, so just got to find them. Okay, here they are. So these enamel shapes already have adhesive on them, but I don't want to use that adhesive because I want to pop them up. So what I'm going to do is take my embossing buddy, and I'm going to pick up 3 of these and place them on top of the buddy. What that does is it removes the adhesive because I want to use dimensionals. And I'm going to take these side pieces here. It's a small piece. I don't know if you can see those. See how little they are? Those are the perfect size to add to the back of these. So I'm just going to pick this up, turn it over, and then pick up that dimensional, that little piece, I should say. It works better when you've cut this other section off, if that makes sense. Okay, so there we go. There's the first one. And then this one. It's still a little sticky, but you could rub it across the embossing buddy and get all of it off. I don't know if I've ever done that before. Oh, let me pick this up first. Looks like I didn't cut that one well enough. Let's try again. Here we go. Oops. I don't like to waste any of my dimensionals. Do y'all do that? Do you use every single piece of them? Okay, Now, I'm going to use the Take Your Pick tool to pick it up and place it. I shared this morning that sometimes when you try to add embellishments with your fingers, your finger covers it up and you can't really see where you're placing it. So I like using the Take Your Pick tool because it's much smaller than my fingers. And this one I'm going to add upside down, so right about there. Well, let's put this back in here. Okay, so here's the one, the original one, the one we just made. Don't forget, there'll be a free PDF over on my website along with all the measurements and a picture. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.